In the vast emptiness of space, on the outer rim of the Galactic Empire, a small research station floated silently. Inside, a team of alien scientists worked tirelessly, their eyes fixed on screens filled with numbers and strange patterns. These were not just any scientists. They were the Empire's best, tasked with listening to the whispers of the universe. Dr. Zix, the lead researcher, sat hunched over his console. His long, tentacle-like fingers danced across the holographic keys. Suddenly, he froze. His large, compound eyes widened as he stared at the screen. "Everyone, come here. Quick," he shouted, his voice filled with excitement and a hint of fear. The other scientists rushed over, crowding around Dr. Zix's station. On the screen, a series of strange signals pulsed rhythmically. They were unlike anything the team had ever seen before. "What is it, Dr. Zix?" asked his assistant, Vila. "I'm not sure," Zix replied, his voice trembling. "But I think we've just discovered a new intelligent species." The room fell silent as the weight of his words sank in. In the thousands of years since the Galactic Empire had spread across the stars, they had never encountered another intelligent life form. Until now. For days, the team worked nonstop, analyzing the signals. They traced their origin to a small blue planet in a distant galaxy. As they studied the data, a picture began to form of the creatures that lived there. "They call themselves humans," Dr. Zix announced to his team one day, "and their planet is named Earth." The scientists learned that humans were a young species, barely out of their stone age compared to the Empire. But they were advancing quickly. Too quickly, some feared. Word of the discovery spread through the Empire like wildfire. Soon, the highest-ranking officials were gathered in the Grand Council chamber on the Empire's capital world. Emperor Xon, a towering figure with gleaming scales and piercing red eyes, sat on his throne. His advisors surrounded him, each trying to make their voice heard. "We must make contact," one shouted. "Think of what we could learn from them." "No," another countered. "They're too unpredictable. We should destroy them before they become a threat." The Emperor raised a clawed hand, silencing the room. "What do our scientists say?" he asked, his voice deep and rumbling. Dr. Zix stepped forward, his small frame dwarfed by the Grand Chamber. He cleared his throat nervously. "Your Majesty," he began, "the humans are fascinating. They're violent, yes, but also capable of great kindness. They're destructive, but also innovative. In just a few thousand years, they'd gone from simple tools to the brink of space travel." The Emperor leaned forward, intrigued. "And what do you recommend, Doctor?" Zix hesitated. He knew his next words could decide the fate of an entire species. "I believe we should study them further before making any decisions. They could be valuable allies or dangerous enemies." The chamber erupted into arguments once again. The Emperor sat back, considering the doctor's words. Finally, he stood, and the room fell silent. "We will not risk the safety of the Empire," he declared. "These humans are advancing too quickly. If left unchecked, they could one day challenge our dominion over the galaxy." He turned to his military commander. "Prepare a fleet. We will strike swiftly and decisively. The humans must be eliminated before they become a true threat." Dr. Zix's heart sank. He had hoped for peace, for a chance to learn from this new species. But the Empire had spoken. War was coming to Earth. As the council chamber emptied, Zix stood alone, staring out at the stars. Somewhere out there, on a small blue planet, billions of humans were going about their lives, unaware of the danger heading their way. He closed his eyes and whispered a silent apology to the species he had discovered. Then, with a heavy heart, he turned and left the chamber. The wheels of war had begun to turn, and there was nothing he could do to stop them. Little did the Empire know, they were about to face a species unlike any they had encountered before. Humanity was young, yes, but they were also resilient, creative, and fiercely determined to survive. The coming war would shake the very foundations of the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again. The massive Imperial scout ship, Stargazer, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Its sleek, dark hull gleamed in the distant sunlight as it silently approached the blue planet. Captain Zorn stood on the bridge, his 4 arms crossed over his chest. He looked at the view screen with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "So this is the home of the humans," he muttered. "Doesn't look like much." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Vex, nodded in agreement. "Our scans show their technology is primitive. They haven't even colonized their own moon yet." Zorn chuckled. "This will be easier than we thought. Prepare the landing party. Let's give these humans their first and last taste of galactic civilization." As the Stargazer entered Earth's orbit, chaos erupted on the planet below. Governments worldwide scrambled to respond to the sudden appearance of an alien spacecraft. In New York, the United Nations held an emergency session. Representatives from every country argued about how to handle the situation. "We should try to communicate with them," shouted the delegate from Sweden. "No, we must prepare our defenses," countered the American representative. As the debate raged on, a small team of human scientists worked frantically to decode the alien transmissions. Dr. Sarah Chen, a brilliant linguist, led the effort. "There's a pattern here," she murmured, her eyes fixed on her computer screen. "If only we had more time." But time was something they didn't have. The Stargazer's landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere, touching down in a field outside a small town in the American Midwest. As the dust settled, a hatch opened, and Captain Zorn stepped out, flanked by his heavily armed crew. A crowd of curious humans had gathered at a safe distance, their faces a mix of fear and wonder. Among them was Jack Thompson, a local farmer who had seen the ship land in his cornfield. "Well, I'll be damned," Jack whispered to his wife. "Looks like we got company." Captain Zorn surveyed the crowd with his 3 eyes, then activated his universal translator. "Humans," his voice boomed, "we are representatives of the Galactic Empire. Your planet now falls under our jurisdiction. Surrender peacefully, and you may be allowed to serve the Empire." A murmur of confusion and anger rippled through the crowd. Jack stepped forward, his weathered face set in a determined frown. "Now hold on just a minute," he called out. "This here's our planet. You can't just show up and claim it." Zorn's tentacle-like mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. "Brave words, little human, but you have no idea of the power you're dealing with." With a gesture, Zorn ordered one of his soldiers to demonstrate. The alien raised a strange weapon and fired at an empty car parked nearby. In a flash of blue light, the vehicle disintegrated. Gasps of horror echoed through the crowd. People began to back away, some turning to run. "This is but a fraction of our power," Zorn announced. "Resist, and your entire civilization will suffer the same fate as that primitive vehicle." As panic spread among the humans, military helicopters appeared on the horizon. Zorn looked up, unimpressed. "Ah, your defenders arrive. This should be amusing." But before the confrontation could escalate further, Zorn's communicator beeped urgently. He listened for a moment, his expression changing from confidence to confusion. "Impossible," he muttered. Unknown to Zorn, Dr. Chen and her team had made a breakthrough. They had managed to hack into the alien ship's communication system, flooding it with a virus that scrambled their translators and navigation systems. Suddenly, Zorn and his crew found themselves unable to understand each other or operate their advanced technology. Confusion turned to panic as they realized their vulnerability. Seizing the moment, Jack Thompson shouted to the crowd, "Now's our chance. Show these aliens what humans are made of." With a collective roar, the crowd surged forward. Armed with nothing but farming tools and sheer determination, they overwhelmed the disoriented aliens. As the skies filled with military aircraft and news helicopters, Captain Zorn found himself face to face with Jack Thompson. The human farmer stood tall, pitchfork in hand, a fierce glint in his eye. "Welcome to Earth," Jack said grimly. I reckon you folks might want to reconsider that surrender offer." As Dorn was led away in handcuffs improvised from rope and duct tape, he realized with growing dread that the Empire had severely underestimated these humans. The first battle was over, but the war for Earth had only just begun. The world changed overnight. News of the alien encounter spread like wildfire, and governments scrambled to respond. In an unprecedented move, the United Nations called for an emergency global summit. Leaders from every nation gathered in a heavily guarded conference center in Geneva. The room buzzed with tension as President Elena Rodriguez of the newly formed Earth Defense Council took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "we faced the greatest threat in human history, but we also have an opportunity to unite as never before." As she spoke, screens around the room displayed images from the encounter in the American Midwest. The leaders watched in awe as ordinary citizens, led by a farmer named Jack Thompson, overpowered the alien invaders. "This," Rodriguez continued, pointing to the screens, "is the spirit of humanity. We may be outgunned, but we are not outmatched. Today we put aside our differences and stand as one against this galactic threat." In the days that followed, the world saw an unprecedented level of cooperation. Old enemies became allies, pooling resources and knowledge in a race against time. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Sarah Chen led a team of the world's brightest minds. They worked tirelessly to understand the alien technology captured during the first encounter. "Look at this," Dr. Chen said, gesturing to a holographic display. "Their weapons use a form of energy we've only theorized about. If we can harness it." Her colleague, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, finished the thought. "We might stand a chance against their fleet." Meanwhile, in military bases around the world, soldiers trained for a war unlike any they had fought before. General Marcus Stone watched as his troops practiced with prototype weapons based on alien tech. Again, he barked as a squad attempted to take down a simulated alien fighter. "Remember, these bastards won't give us a second chance. We have to be perfect." But it wasn't just the military preparing for war. Civilians across the globe joined the effort. Factories retooled to produce new technologies, while hackers worked around the clock to bolster Earth's cyber defenses. In London, a group of teenagers led by 16-year-old Zara Malik developed a smartphone app that could detect and report alien signals. "We might not be able to fight," Zora told a reporter, "but we can be the eyes and ears of the resistance." As Earth mobilized, the captured alien captain, Zorn, watched in disbelief from his cell. A team of interrogators had been trying to extract information from him, with little success. Colonel Anna Petrova, the lead interrogator, entered Zorn's cell. "I think it's time you saw something," she said, activating a holographic projector. Images flashed before Zorn's 3 eyes. Humans working together, adapting alien tech, preparing for war. "Impossible," he muttered. "This is humanity," Petrova said firmly. "You thought we were weak, divided. You were wrong. And soon, your empire will learn just how wrong." For the first time since his capture, Zorn felt a flicker of doubt. High above Earth, hidden behind the moon, the Imperial fleet gathered. Admiral Xar, leader of the invasion force, grew impatient. "Why haven't we attacked yet?" he demanded. "These humans are primitives." His tactical officer replied nervously, "Sir, we've lost contact with Captain Zorn's team. And our long-range scans show unusual activity on the planet." Admiral Xar's tentacles twitched in annoyance. "Enough delays. Prepare all ships for attack. We will crush these humans and be done with it." As the alien armada moved into position, Earth's new defense systems sparked to life. Satellites reconfigured to become a planetary shield, while hidden bases prepared to launch reverse-engineered fighters. In the White House Situation Room, President Rodriguez stood surrounded by her advisors. A red phone on the desk rang, and she answered. "Madam President," came the voice of General Stone. "Our sensors have detected the alien fleet. They're making their move. Rodriguez took a deep breath, her eyes meeting those of each person in the room. She saw not fear, but determination. "Very well," she said. "Initiate Operation Defiance. May God help us all." As klaxons blared in cities across the globe, humanity steeled itself for the fight of its life. The Galactic Empire was about to learn that conquering Earth wouldn't be as easy as they thought. The real war was about to begin. The sky lit up with an eerie green glow as the Imperial fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. Thousands of alien ships, each larger than a city, descended upon the planet. Admiral Xar stood on the bridge of his flagship, a smug smile on his face. "Look at them scatter," he chuckled, watching the panicked movement on the planet below. "This will be over before dinner." But as the first wave of fighters approached Earth's major cities, they met unexpected resistance. A shimmering energy shield flickered to life, enveloping the planet. "What is this?" Xar bellowed, his tentacles writhing in anger. "They're primitives. They shouldn't have this technology." On the ground, in a bunker beneath Washington, D.C., Dr. Sarah Chen and her team watched their creation in action. "The shield is holding," she reported, her voice tense but hopeful. "But we don't know for how long." President Rodriguez nodded grimly. "It doesn't need to hold forever, just long enough." As the alien ships pounded the shield with energy weapons, Earth's defenders sprang into action. From hidden bases around the globe, squadrons of fighters took to the sky. These weren't ordinary jets, but hybrid crafts combining human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien tech. Captain Maria Ruiz led the first squadron out of a secret base in the Amazon rainforest. As her fighter broke through the canopy, she got her first real look at the alien armada. "Mother of God," she whispered, then steeled herself. "All right, team, remember your training. Hit fast, hit hard, and don't let them pin you down." The Earth fighters zipped between the lumbering alien ships, their unusual flight patterns confusing the Imperial targeting systems. Explosions blossomed in the sky as human pilots scored their first kills. Admiral Xar watched in disbelief as his fleet took unexpected losses. "Impossible," he roared. "All ships, focus your fire on their defense shield. We'll fry this entire planet if we have to." As the battle raged in the skies, another front opened in cyberspace. Zara Malik, the teenage hacker from London, led a global team of coders in a digital assault on the alien fleet's systems. "We're in," Zara shouted, her fingers flying over her keyboard. "Uploading the virus. Now." Across the alien armada, ship after ship began to lose power, their systems corrupted by the human-made virus. Fighters fell from the sky, and larger ships drifted aimlessly. But the Empire's numbers were vast, and for every ship disabled, another took its place. The planetary shield began to flicker and fail under the relentless bombardment. In Geneva, General Stone coordinated the ground defense. "The shield is falling," he barked into his comlink. "All units, prepare for ground assault." As gaps appeared in Earth's defenses, Imperial dropships pierced through, landing troops in major cities around the world. The streets of New York, Tokyo, and Cairo became battlegrounds as human soldiers clashed with alien invaders. In London's Trafalgar Square, Jack Thompson, the farmer who had first stood up to the aliens, now led a militia of civilians. Armed with makeshift weapons and stolen alien blasters, they held the line against a force of Imperial shock troops. "Stand fast," Jack shouted, firing his alien weapon at an approaching enemy. "We didn't come this far to give up now." Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Carr was losing control of the situation. "How?" he raged. "How are they doing this?" His tactical officer, visibly shaken, replied, "Sir, we've underestimated them. These humans, they're unlike anything we've ever faced." As the battle reached its peak, with both sides taking heavy losses, a new player entered the game. From behind the moon, a massive ship appeared, Earth's secret weapon. Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the global command channel. "This is humanity's hope, reporting for duty. Let's show these aliens what we're really made of. The ship, cobbled together from salvaged alien tech and human determination, unleashed a barrage of energy weapons that tore through the Imperial fleet. For the first time in the battle, Admiral Carr felt fear. He realized that this easy conquest had become a fight for survival, not for Earth, but for his own forces. As humanity's hope turned the tide of the space battle and ground forces pushed back the alien invaders, the people of Earth dared to hope. The war was far from over, but humanity had proven one thing beyond doubt. They would not go quietly into the night. The Galactic Empire had started this war, but humanity was determined to end it. As the space battle raged above, the war on Earth intensified. Imperial forces had established footholds in major cities across the globe, but humanity, far from cowering in fear, rose to meet the challenge with fierce determination. In the ruins of downtown Los Angeles, Sergeant Anna Ortiz led her squad through rubble-strewn streets. They moved silently, using hand signals to communicate. Ahead, a group of alien soldiers guarded a makeshift command post. "Remember," Anna whispered to her team, "their armor is tough, but not invincible. Aim for the joints." On her signal, the squad opened fire. Their weapons, a mix of traditional firearms and reverse-engineered alien tech, caught the invaders by surprise. In seconds, the command post was secured. Anna activated her comm unit. "Command, this is Ghostwalker. We've taken the target. Proceeding to Phase 2. Similar scenes played out across the world. In Moscow, resistance fighters used the city's vast subway system to outmaneuver the aliens. In Rio de Janeiro, local gangs put aside their differences to join forces against the common enemy, turning their knowledge of the favelas into a deadly advantage. The aliens, used to quick conquests of less advanced worlds, found themselves bogged down in a grueling urban warfare they were ill prepared for. On the outskirts of Cairo, Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked feverishly in a mobile lab. She had been testing a new weapon based on the aliens' own technology. A loud explosion nearby rocked the lab. "We're out of time," she muttered, grabbing the prototype. "It'll have to do." Outside, she found General Stone coordinating the defense. "General," she called, "it's ready." Stone nodded grimly. "Let's hope it works, Doctor. We're about to be overrun." As if on cue, a massive alien walker appeared on the horizon, its energy weapons decimating the human defenses. Dr. Tanaka aimed her device at the walker and fired. A pulse of blue energy shot out, enveloping the machine. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a groan of twisting metal, the walker collapsed. "It worked," Tanaka exclaimed. "The anti-grav disruptor worked." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Mass produce it. Now." In orbit, the battle took another turn. Humanity's hope, Earth's jury-rigged spaceship, had dealt significant damage to the Imperial fleet, but now it found itself surrounded, taking heavy fire. In the ship's control room, Dr. Sarah Chen worked desperately to keep the systems online. "Shields at 20%, she reported. "We can't take much more of this." Captain Maria Ruiz, now commanding the ship, gritted her teeth. "We're not done yet. Prepare to execute Maneuver Omega." "But that's suicide," Chen protested. "Maybe," Ruiz replied, "but it'll take a bunch of them with us." "For Earth." The crew echoed her cry. "For Earth." Humanity's hope plunged into the heart of the enemy fleet, its remaining weapons firing nonstop. As alien ships exploded around it, the human vessel finally succumbed, detonating in a massive blast that crippled the Imperial flagship. On the flagship's bridge, Admiral Carr watched in disbelief as his fleet fell into chaos. "How?" he muttered. "How are they beating us?" Back on Earth, in the war room of the White House, President Rodriguez received the news of humanity's hope's sacrifice. She closed her eyes briefly, honoring their bravery, then turned to her advisors. "What's our status?" "We're pushing them back, Madam President," an aide reported. "Slowly, but surely." The new anti-grav weapons are turning the tide on the ground, and without central command, their forces in space are in disarray. Rodriguez nodded. And the package? En route to the primary alien landing zone. Jack Thompson is leading the team himself. In the countryside outside London, Jack and a small team of elite soldiers crept towards a massive alien ship. They carried a single, heavily shielded container. "Remember," Jack said, his voice low, "we only get one shot at this. Let's make it count." As they approached the ship, alarms blared. Alien troops poured out, weapons ready. Jack turned to his team, a determined glint in his eye. "All right, folks. Let's show these spacemen what happens when you mess with Earth." With a mighty yell, the humans charged forward. The fate of the world hung in the balance as Earth's finest hour reached its climax. Jack Thompson and his team raced towards the alien mothership, dodging energy blasts and leaping over debris. The package they carried was humanity's last, desperate hope. A hybrid bomb combining Earth's nuclear technology with the aliens' own power source. "Almost there," Jack shouted, his weathered face streaked with dirt and sweat. "Cover me." As his team laid down suppressing fire, Jack sprinted the last few meters to the ship's open landing ramp. With a grunt, he heaved the package inside, then hit the detonator. "Run!" he yelled, turning to flee. The explosion was like nothing Earth had ever seen. A blinding flash of blue-white light engulfed the mothership, followed by a shockwave that flattened everything for miles. When the dust settled, the massive alien vessel was nothing but twisted metal. In orbit, the effect was even more dramatic. The explosion had triggered a chain reaction in the alien fleet's energy network. Ship after ship went dark, drifting helplessly in space. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Carr watched in horror as his mighty armada crumbled. "Impossible," he muttered, his tentacles twitching in agitation. "Retreat. All ships, retreat." But it was too late. Earth's remaining fighters, led by the indomitable Captain Maria Ruiz, pounced on the defenseless alien ships. "This is for humanity's hope," Ruiz said grimly as she fired her weapons. Back on Earth, in cities around the world, the alien ground forces suddenly found themselves cut off from their command and support. Their advanced weapons and vehicles, reliant on the fleet's power network, became useless hunks of metal. In the streets of New York, Sergeant Anna Ortiz saw the alien troops' confusion and seized the moment. "They're vulnerable," she shouted to her squad. "Push them back." All across the globe, humanity surged forward. Soldiers and civilians alike, armed with whatever weapons they could find, drove the aliens back. The invaders, once so fearsome, now fled before the human onslaught. In Washington, D.C., President Rodriguez received the news with cautious optimism. "It's working," she said to her advisors. "But we can't stop now." "Dr. Chen, what's the status of Project Phoenix?" Dr. Sarah Chen, still mourning the loss of humanity's hope, straightened her back. "It's ready, Madam President. We've managed to retrofit one of the captured alien ships. It's not pretty, but it'll fly." Rodriguez nodded. "Then it's time we took the fight to them. Prepare for immediate launch." Within hours, Earth's first true interstellar warship, christened Phoenix, lifted off. Its crew was a mix of military personnel and scientists, including Dr. Chen and the young hacker Zora Malik. As Phoenix broke through the atmosphere, it was joined by a ragtag fleet of captured and retrofitted alien vessels. Captain Ruiz, leading the escort fighters, opened a comm channel. "Good hunting, Phoenix. Make him pay." The journey to the edge of the solar system was tense. As they approached the retreating alien armada, Dr. Chen made a startling discovery. "These energy readings," she said, excitement in her voice. "I think I've found their homeworld coordinates." On the bridge, Commander John Blake, a veteran of the ground war, made a decision. "Send the coordinates to Earth. We're going in." Using the confusion of the retreat, Phoenix and its fleet slipped past the Imperial defenses. They emerged from faster-than-light travel near a massive, ring-shaped space station, the heart of the Galactic Empire. "By all that's holy," Blake whispered, awed by the station's size. Then he shook himself. "All right, people, we didn't come all this way to sightsee. Battle stations." As alarms blared across the Imperial capital, Emperor Xan received the news with disbelief. Humans? Here? Impossible. But the impossible had become reality. The humans had not only defended their world, but had brought the war to the Empire's doorstep. On Phoenix's bridge, Commander Blake opened a channel to the station. His message was simple. "This is Commander John Blake of Earth. Your invasion has failed. We are here to negotiate your surrender." A stunned silence fell over the Imperial Command Center. The tables had turned. The hunter had become the hunted, and the Galactic Empire faced a choice: sue for peace or face the wrath of a humanity it had gravely underestimated. As Phoenix and its fleet took up attack positions, the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The final battle was about to begin, and its outcome would reshape the galaxy forever. The massive space station that served as the heart of the Galactic Empire buzzed with frantic activity. Alarms blared as Imperial ships scrambled to defend against the unexpected human assault. Emperor Xan, his scaled skin pale with shock, stared at the tactical display showing the human fleet. "How did they find us? How did they get here so quickly?" he demanded, his voice trembling. His advisors had no answers. They watched in stunned silence as the human ships, led by the Phoenix, engaged the Imperial Defense Fleet. Aboard the Phoenix, Commander John Blake coordinated the attack. "All ships, focus fire on their command and control systems," he ordered. "Dr. Chen, how's that virus coming?" Dr. Sarah Chen, working furiously at her console, looked up with a grin. "Ready to deploy, Commander. This should shut down their weapons and shields." "Do it," Blake commanded. With a few keystrokes, Chen launched the virus. It spread through the Imperial network like wildfire, disabling ship after ship. The humans pressed their advantage, their weapons tearing through the now defenseless Imperial vessels. On the space station, chaos reigned. Emperor Xan watched helplessly as his mighty armada crumbled before the human attack. "How is this possible?" he muttered. They were primitives, savages. An aide approached, trembling. "Your Majesty, the humans are hailing us. They demand our surrender." Xan's eyes widened in disbelief. Surrender? To them? But as he looked at the tactical display, showing his fleet in ruins and the human ships closing in, he realized he had no choice. "Open a channel," he said, his voice hollow. Commander Blake's face appeared on the screen. "Emperor Xan," he said, his voice firm but not unkind, "your invasion of Earth has failed. Your fleet is destroyed. Surrender now, and we can avoid further bloodshed." Xan stared at the human, seeing not a primitive savage, but a determined, intelligent being. With a heavy sigh, he nodded. "We surrender." Word of the Empire's capitulation spread quickly. Across the galaxy, subjugated species who had long suffered under Imperial rule began to rise up. The Galactic Empire, once thought invincible, began to crumble. Back on Earth, the news of victory was met with jubilant celebration. In Times Square, New York, Sergeant Anna Ortiz watched as crowds cheered and danced in the streets. "We did it," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "We actually did it." In London, young Zara Malik, the hacker who had played a crucial role in the war, was mobbed by reporters. "I just did what anyone would do," she said, blushing. "We all played our part." At the White House, President Rodriguez addressed the world. "Today, we have won not just our freedom, but our place among the stars," she declared. "But with this victory comes great responsibility. We must show the galaxy that humanity stands for justice, compassion, and peace." Months passed. The Galactic Empire was dissolved, replaced by a new Galactic Council where all species, including humans, had equal representation. Earth, once considered a backwater planet, became a center of innovation and diplomacy. Jack Thompson, the farmer who had become a war hero, now served as Earth's ambassador to the Council. As he stood on the observation deck of the former Imperial Space Station, now repurposed as the Council headquarters, he marveled at how far humanity had come. "Quite a view, isn't it?" a voice said behind him. Jack turned to see Dr. Yuki Tanaka, now head of a multi-species scientific cooperative. Jack nodded. "Sometimes I still can't believe it. We went from fighting for survival to this." Yuki smiled. "It's just the beginning. There's so much out there to explore, to learn." As they spoke, a small ship docked at the station. Out stepped a familiar face, Captain Zorn, the alien who had led the first contact mission to Earth. But now, he wore the uniform of a diplomatic envoy. Zorn approached Jack and Yuki, his posture humble. "Ambassador Thompson, Dr. Tanaka," he said, "I've come to formally apologize for my actions and those of the former empire, and to learn from you. Your species has much to teach us." Jack extended his hand, which Zorn shook after a moment's hesitation. "We all have much to learn from each other," Jack said. "That's what this new galactic order is all about." As the three of them looked out at the star-filled expanse, a sense of hope and possibility filled the air. Humanity had not only survived its first interstellar war, but had emerged as a force for positive change in the galaxy. The future, vast and unknown, beckoned, and humanity, tested by fire and found unbreakable, was ready to meet it head-on.